Well, good evening, folks. It's a Monday night. Monday nights is Airfix and Chill night. Is that right? Oh dear, I've got some decent introductions, haven't I, lads? Honestly. Sorry for the delay. Jason contacted me this morning and said, when am I coming back on to Airfix and Chill? And I said, well, come on tonight. And you can discuss because now the Outlaw paint range is now live in the UK. There are suppliers like Alex here from Man's Model Moments' shop, and James from the Sprue Box is the distributor of the paints. Going by what I've seen, there's been some amazing builds so far from people that have used this paint, and I thought tonight we could talk about Outlaw paints, but just painting in general, really. It's an open forum tonight, so if those in the chat want to ask a question or have any thoughts about painting, and if they have used Outlaw paints, let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are on it. But yeah, at the moment, Jason hasn't turned up, and neither is Jane. So whether they're fighting over how much lacquer goes in these paints, I don't know, but they haven't shown up yet. But hopefully they will do. They might just pop in during the evening. But go over to Alex, because he got the paints at the same time as everybody else. Have you used them yet, my friend?
I have. So I have a Spitfire here.
Yeah.
And I have a Messerschmitt.
Brilliant. Is that from the Dogfight Doubles?
That is the old Dogfight Doubles. So these are old kits. So I haven't done very much with them. I just built them, covered up the inevitable seams and things. But really, I just wanted to use them as paint beds for the Outlaw paints. And I think for me, the great advantage of Outlaw paint and what really convinced me to stock them was if you look at the coverage that you get, it allows you, and because they're lacquer paints and very fast drying because of that, the time it saves you. So I did this, the Messerschmitt. If you can see any glossy bits in it, it's because I've literally just matte varnished it about 10 minutes before the stream. So I wanted to do mottled camouflage. So I talked to James about what I wanted to do. And the video on these will go up this week at some point.
Cool.
This took me 20 minutes.
Wow.
Like the whole thing. That is doing the underside, the identification marks, the splinter, and the mottle. Because once this dries, and I masked it with, I didn't even use Tamiya, I used Hobby 2000 masking tape. You can mask over it because it's hot and it effectively binds to the plastic. You can mask over it, spray it as soon as it's dry, basically. Spray it, take the masking off. You get 0 lift. So in terms of a time saver and how robust that finish is, for me, it allows you to do things which, with acrylic paint are hard to do. You need multiple coats. And even with, I think, other lacquer paints, because that's not intrinsically part of Outlaw. I think you could do that with lacquer paints in general, but most of them you need to mist on several coats. Yeah. And which, of course, you should be doing, right? You don't want to be putting on this stuff wet if you can help it, or at least not, so it's swimming in it. But the pigment density is one of the things for me. The coverage that allows you, to be able to just mask over and just spray without worrying about, whether you've got that yellow or whatever. I did the yellow over that blue. So you can't see it very well here with the colour.
But it just covers, doesn't it? It's an incredible paint.
And it's very tough. So it's very resilient, in a way that I had a customer come into the shop a while ago who had bought some Tamiya paints from me, had airbrushed them. He was saying, I'm getting real problems. I'm using Tamiya tape and I got real problems with the paint lifting. And I was like, well, how long are you leaving it? And he was like, well, once it's dry, I just tape it. And it's like, you can't do that with Tamiya tapes. You've got to leave them ideally overnight to really cure before you start doing things like putting masking tape over them. And that's just not the case with lacquer paints and certainly with Outlaw.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the things that the coverage, the pigments really are what convinced me to go with them, and I haven't been disappointed.
I'm just going to share this at the moment. Share the screen a minute. Which one is it? It's this one here. Now, go to share. So it should come up on the screen now. There you go. So this is an article that is being put out by Outlaw Paint, by Key Model World or Airfix Model World. Okay, the magazine. And Stuart has tried them. And obviously he's got the RAF Trainer Yellow and the Lemon Yellow. Well, it was me that night that James infamously recorded when I first sprayed the Lemon Yellow on my model. And I ended up, you know, blown away. I was effing and jeffing on how amazing it is. And they've basically done the same experiment that I did. And there's a picture of it there. The coverage of the lemon over the black was impressive. And even then, you know, even there, the what they said is the airbrush was cleaned in trial repeat for lemon yellow when the colours were selected and was chosen potentially the most difficult to attain acceptable results. However, to our surprise and delight, a sufficiently opaque layer was achieved almost as quickly as with the darker yellow. So, and I think the beauty of, see, I've been using Tamiya LP for a while, and I still don't think, and I thought that they dried pretty quick. You know, 20 minutes later, you could go back and start masking up. But to do this, like, you know, with these paints, because of how well they adhered to the surface and how quick they dry, you can get another coat on, I reckon, within 10 minutes, can't you? But by the time you've cleaned your airbrush out and added the new paint in and just masked the bit you want to do and straight over, it's
I mean, I didn't give it that moss. I was giving it like literally it was dry and then I was going on. And I wasn't really even cleaning the airbrush out that much. I was putting a few drops of thinner in, spraying it through, flushing it, and then going on. So a minute or so between coats was what I was doing. You know, as soon as it was dry, but I was basically going on the next. I just thought I would do the most, if you like, ludicrous, the most punishing thing you could do. You know, that you wouldn't normally do with paints, and just see how it did, because nothing to lose, right? And it worked brilliantly. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing is the finish on them is a really nice satin on the military range. I obviously use military ones. The decals go down really nice on it.
I will. I've done two. I've sent the pictures on. This is the highly commended one I got from the scale model competition. This is the Bearcat. This is all Outlaw Paints. You know, as I said, it went down. That's just I bit of smoke there from the barrels there. But 148 Bearcat, and just if you look at the props there, the yellow, that's over the black. And you want a little bit of the darkness to come through, because obviously they would have been painted on top of the black, wouldn't they? So so that's the Bearcat that I did using the glossy sea blue that was labelled up as Mod 6 of one of Models' brand paint. And then this was the other one that I did, and I did it over 2 days. It was a lovely little build. It was the Mitsubishi Zero. And obviously I've weathered it to make it a bit dirty, because you know, I was quite surprised how dirty the Zeros were, but I didn't want to go too bad with it. But and that's basically one coat on top of the primer. I did pre-shade underneath, obviously. But yeah, and the only thing that pissed me off about it was the decals. I've put Tamiya Mock Fit, left it on there, and these decals here either side just won't go down. The rest of them went down, as you can see. The rest of them went down. Lovely. But them buggers wouldn't go down. The underside did a little bit. But yeah, so I basically, you know, sprayed this up. This is, what was the paint I used? I used IJN Yokosuka Grey. And you can see there, you know, it's a great color to do that one on. So there you go. And there's and this is all, as I said, the silver or the aluminium on the front, the back, everything on here is all done with Outlaw paint, and I'm really chuffed. So this is like the full. This one here has got a little bit of Tamiya on the silvers. I didn't have the Tamiya at the time, so that, you know, but everything like the gunmetal and that is all done by. What spins that one? I didn't include it in, but yeah, I'm deeply impressed with how well it went down, and you can see that, you know, I've still got tons of it left, so I'm probably able to do 20 or 30 planes with this stuff.
I think that's worth mentioning, actually, Ross, is the amount of paint. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
I was putting, I don't know, I was filling the cup up about 10 millimeters deep, I guess. And then when I sort of finished spraying, I was just like, okay, well, like that covered the entirety of the bottom of the aircraft. I'm like, okay, I was expecting to, you know, maybe test a little bit and then see where I was with it. But no, I didn't need to put any more in. So, yeah, and then when you put, you know, you do put it back in the bottle, and you've got like you say, you think, well, I've hardly used anything. And I think that goes to the pigment density of it, right? Because if you were doing lots of stuff, or you were thinning something down and then going over multiple coats, you would need to come back and add more.
Yeah.
So
I think he let it settle, and he showed these haven't settled, of course, but he let one settle, and he showed what the pigment density was, right? So it was at least half of the bottle. It was like maybe 20 mils of the 30 mil was pigment, and then the rest was, which you don't get. Certainly, it's the opposite with Alclad and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think some is more pigment heavy than others. You know, this one here, the dark ghost grey, you can see there's a fair chunk of pigment on the bottom. So when you were seeing what Alclad was doing, this is, you know, but as I said, it's just that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shakes, and that's now mixed. I'm not joking. You could, you know, it is thoroughly mixed. It doesn't take a lot for it to be agitated into a use. Did you use the primer as well? Did you, Alex, when you did yours?
Nope. I just
the primer
straight. Again, I wanted to do like a torture test with it. So, and this is like the 1976 kit. So it's not that mold, but it's pretty rugged. So I just basically just built it. I did whatever filling I needed to do. I didn't put any primer on whatsoever, and I just sprayed the Outlaw paint directly on the plastic, and that was the result. So I was super happy with it. And again, not a single lift off from that was really what amazed me, was because I was trying to, you know, push it a little bit, and I expected to get some, but I didn't get any. So it's like, okay, that's good.
I'm maybe I'm just to be fair, I have sprayed without primer on some of the models I've done. I tend to like to use the primer, and I think the reason is that when you've primed it, you can see where there could be some marks or sinks or something that you need to reprep before.
Normally,
but
you
can spray this straight on plastic. I think if you were doing a car, you know, or well, I can't say a tank or something, when sink marks aren't really a problem. I've always said this on a tank. It doesn't, or, you know, it would be a problem. You can just go straight on with this paint. And
I mean, the flip side, I would say, of that, Ross, the kind of, it's not a disadvantage, but as I say, I didn't really try hard with these because they were just test beds, right? So I filled and sanded. I didn't go down to high grades. I just used like a medium sanding stick. I don't even know what grade it was.
Yeah.
And then I sprayed the Outlaw paint over it, and it's just like you can still see some sanding marks. And it's just like, it's unforgiving because you're putting such a thin layer down. And I'm just like, okay, if we're going to do that in future, I need to be, you know, okay, this has been an extreme example, but yeah, it's just like it's not going to hide your mistakes. Certainly, you're not pooling paint on there. So,
no. But
that's
again,
good because if you've got fine detail, it'll preserve that fine detail, which is what you want.
But on the flip side of that, though, my friend,
Right.
what I find is that when you're doing that with the it levels almost instantly. And I have done a wet. I did wet on that. I did when I first got the back, the thing I got a Bearcat, and I did a wet coat. All right, it left it glossy, but there was no ripples or nothing. There was no embedded. It just leveled. But
no, you don't get that effect where you can sometimes get with an airbrush if you put too much paint on, and then it will dry in like little ridges sort of going out from the airbrush. I've not seen that at all.
No. I'm just quickly going back to that article. I want to go back to the article again because I think it's because if Stu Phone from Key Model World says this is great, you can take on board what he's saying because he doesn't pull his punches, does he? And he was just, I think it was down here where he said that within 20 minutes he was masking it up, ready for the next. After 30 minutes, tape was used to mark a halfway point. So even he was confident enough not to, a lot of us, before we mask up, we'll leave that model overnight. I think the majority of us have always done that. When you're masking up, you paint it and you leave it overnight. Within 30 minutes, he was there. He felt confident enough to use the paint. And he said, with the desired effect reached the point quickly as the paint dried so quickly that recoats were achievable after approximately 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's game changing, really, isn't it? But then
I think so.
You would have you'd leave it an hour. But
One thing
maybe so. He's in now, is he?
Sorry. Yeah, hello. Sorry I'm late. A bit of a nightmare day today, but I thought I'd pop in. I can't be here very long, unfortunately, because I've got to go back out to deal with what I've been dealing with for the last 2 hours.
You won't have seen it, James, but the model camouflage I promised you.
Oh, lovely. Lovely.
It'll be out this week. I had a few things which got in the way, not Outlaw Paint related, but
I can I know what's been going on with you guys for the last couple of days and weeks. So thankfully it's not as bad as it could have been, but I know you've been busy. But I mean, I can attest to everything you've said so far. Basically, is that one of the reasons why I chose to stock it was because initially I was introduced to it through a charity event and was shown what it was, how it performed and all that sort of stuff. And I took Muscle agree with this comment, was that although I was very impressed with what I saw, there was an element of me going, but they make it, they know how to use it. Is it that good? And I was given the opportunity to be the distributor for the UK, and in theory at the beginning Europe as well, but we're concentrating on UK, and even up to the point where it was being delivered, the first set that Moss and I struggled with because there was a few hiccups here and there. It wasn't until I finally sprayed it that I got it, and that's the big thing about this particular product, is that I could stand here or sit here as I am and sell it to everybody, but there really isn't any point. The only thing you need to do is buy a bottle, try it, and I think you will discover all the things in which you said and more about the paint. And everyone that I've sent it to, I've purposely not done videos and all that sort of stuff for my YouTube channel because I'm the distributor. So it feels a bit, to me, it feels a little bit false. Although I wouldn't lie about it, but because you can have issues with it, like any paint. but the learning curve, one of the things that struck me straight away was the learning curve of how to use it was so minimal that I've never discovered that with any other paint that I've used. So that in itself to me changes everything for my model making. That's not taking into account the fact that you spray it within a couple of, within 10, 15 seconds, you can put another coat on, it's dry. And you were talking about the article that was done just recently. And when I got the article, I was speaking to Stu, and Stu said that he couldn't believe how quickly it dried, and he was actually too scared to put masking tape on it too early because he didn't want to create an issue from it. But I was amazed. And everybody I've sent it to, Nigel's modeling bench, Steph the budget modeler, making models, Alex, everybody that I've sent it to have all come back with pretty much the same thing of A, wow, and B, well, this is very different to what we've used before. I have had a couple of negatives to a point, but most of that's been down to very small, typical, normal modeling issues you have with airbrushes. So your airbrush isn't clean, for example, or the pressure's too high, or you really don't need to put a lot of pressure on your airbrush either with this particular paint. And I'd advise you not to, because if you the more air you push through the airbrush, the more paint you're going to use, and that you don't need.
I'm running at 12, 15 p. Well, between 12 and 15 psi. I'm going to say was like you were saying quickly about how good the paint is. I was demonstrating the Outlaw paint using one of these. This one, I reckon this one fires out at 22 to 25 psi. But I just held the model further away, as I was spraying it. But if you can get a finish using one of these without having any prep work, I mean, adding thinners to it, playing about with it, it's a very forgiving paint. Very forgiving paint.
Yeah, it is.
The other thing with masking is it produces razor sharp lines. You don't, because it dries so quickly, you get zero bleed. That's one of the things. So all of these, like that hard splinter camo, the yellow ID marks underneath, that was the first time spraying. And when I sprayed this was the first time I tried to mask with it or do mottle or anything. That's the first attempt. I haven't gone back to it or anything. I mean, I videoed it just to prove it, but zero creep. It's just, which I don't think I've had with any other paint I've used. There's always been a little bit of touch up or something that you've missed. And in fact, to the point where I actually made a mistake on this piece of splinter, where I actually overlapped two of the edges of the tape, and that's reproduced perfectly in the model.
Oh, brilliant.
I think that the only thing I would say is, and this is something I've picked up through comments and through my own use of it, is yes, you can jump straight on it. You can, in theory, if you're doing I don't know, a quick build or something, and you've only got a day to do it, yes, you could absolutely go splash, 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 all done, lovely. But like another paint company, one thing in which I was saying a lot at Telford is that the one thing I will honestly say is a nice thin coat and build that coat up. But when I say build it up, what I mean is go across it once, go across it twice, leave it alone. That's in not all the colours, because some of the colours you will need to build up a little bit more, but most of the colours you'll find 2 slow passes on your model and you've got what you need. If you want, especially if you're somebody who does pre-shading and all that sort of stuff, really just 2 passes and that's all you need. So the one thing, like I said to both Alex and Moss, was that the one thing that concerned me was You know, how long would a pot of paint last? You know, was it going to be something that people were going to buy and go, oh, next week I need to go and buy another one of those because I've run out? And that's not the case. It really isn't the case, because of the amount of times you're going over your model at a nice low pressure, you're not going to be using an awful lot of paint. So that in itself is another bonus as I see it. And the finishes you can get with the minimal amount of effort, and like I think Alex, you just said, it gives a really nice satin finish. So you can almost cut. Well, certainly if you are one of those sort of people that like to put a sealed coat on there to put your decals on, don't need to do that. That's another part of the process you don't need to do. Or your build process you don't need to do. That's going to save you a little bit of money as well. So it all builds up to a product in which does everything you want it to do with a minimum amount of effort and hopefully the minimum cost for each model you do. So you know, and I'm not saying for a second that this is the only product out there that does this or does that, because I haven't tested every single brand, so I can't attain to that at all. But what I can say is my honest opinion is based on my use, so I know what I'm saying is correct.
Yeah. Fair comment. Yeah, I know you have the jumper too, because on Twitter, Airfix retweeted your picture, Trixie. So I thought yeah, it is an impressive paint range, Matt. Hopefully you'll get yourself some, or maybe we'll put £10 in a hat each and send you some. And I think sorry, we wrote question: what airbrush cleaner do you use after using the paint? I use IPA, pure and simple IPA. Blow it, because I basically empty the remnants back into the pot that I haven't used because I haven't mixed anything with it. Go back in the pot, blow it through with IPA, and then I'm on to using the next color. But after I've done a session, I always put a little bit of brush magic in, which I have here. Give it a rinse around, blow it through, and then put IPA in it and blow that through again. So IPA, which is isopropyl alcohol. That's all you need. No special airbrush cleaner stuff or anything. Just bog standard IPA.
I would completely disagree, Ross. I use Man's Model Moments airbrush cleaner. It's
fantastic. Yeah, it's great stuff. Yeah.
I can't.
I would disagree.
I was told I could have product placement. God damn it.
You can use that, yeah, definitely. But the problem is that I work for. I don't work for them, but I said that I would kind of promote Dulux Materials' stuff. So, which is good stuff.
Like with a lot of products out there, Moss, there are simple solutions and cheap solutions. And a bit like Alex's, we have a range of cleaners and thinners and all that sort of stuff. But they're done specifically to make it easy for the modeler. There are options. There are always options out there. It's just whether you want to do that or do something else.
Celtic West, having tried Tamiya SMS stand and MRP. All are good, but Outlaw lasts longer because you don't use as much. And that's one of the comments that's been raised about MRP, because MRP tend to use a lot of it because it is very thin. I think the balance is pretty much there. Obviously,
MRP is an awful lot hotter than Outlaw.
Is it really?
It is, yeah.
It's an awful lot hotter than Outlaw. So you have to be very careful if you've got paint underneath it because it can react.
Question: should Alex plug his products with those glasses on? Yeah. Am I hearing this right? You don't need to use thinner or flow improver with Outlaw. You are correct.
No, not at all.
You can knit. Plastic Alchemist, when he does his pre-shading, he will thin it down because that's what he's used to. He likes a really thin, and he'll go over those lines I wish he was on it. He could explain how he does it himself. He has thinned it down a little bit with some Mr. What's it?
Leveling thinner.
Mr. Color Thinner, whatever it is. So yeah, leveling thinner. Sorry, the MLT. But that's how he likes burning through thin paint. Another guy who likes thin paint is LPJ Models. He will probably thin down the paint. But for us using it, I don't think you do. But some people prefer to. But you do not need flow. And in fact, between us who's used it, have you had tip dry yet? No, neither have I. I've had no tip dry when I used it.
With the yeah, you're right in what you said. If you have a particular way of doing spraying your paint, you don't need any flow improver. That's 100%. And if I'm honest, you don't need the thinner either. The reason being is that the paint is designed to be at its best ability straight from the bottle. It's literally meant to be just poured out, or one of these or whatever you use, and you're off and running. The problem with thinning it can create issues in which you wouldn't normally come across if you hadn't. And from the guy's mouth themselves is that you can thin it if you want to, but do not go any more than, say, I don't know, 5 or 6%, because as soon as you do that, you're into problems.
The reason I know why people want to thin it down, though, James, is quite. You imagine, you're spraying that model up. That paint is designed to cover. Sometimes you don't want it to cover. You just want like a shadow effect, and that's how Plastic Alchemist sprays. He likes that shadow effect. And so I can see the mentality behind the thought process behind why you would thin it down. For instance, when you're doing your panel lines and stuff, you would thin it down.
And I totally agree with that. If that's the way in which you are used to doing getting the technique and the finished product that you want, by all means. But like I said, going back to what I said earlier, a couple of thin passes and you've got what you need. So if you cut that down to one thin pass, which you can do, you've already got your lines and all the stuff in which you've pre-shaded, and you've got your base color. The other thing in which is really important is that sometimes, not always, but sometimes, some colors, duck egg blue is a classic example. Spray it on, get a nice base coat, walk away, go and make yourself a cup of coffee. Leave it be. The reason being is that once it settles and dries, it does change slightly in tone. Don't know why. I'm sure there's some magnificent scientific reason for it, but I've got no idea why it does it. But something I certainly noticed was that you spray it and you go, oh God, I think I need to go over that again. You spray it again. It's like, oh, I still don't. I'm not sure. Don't do that. Walk away from it. Leave it alone. And certainly again with the yellow, I'm unable to show you what I've been working on of late, but I've been using a yellow over the last few days, and I found that very much with the yellow is that you sprayed it on and gone, it doesn't seem like I've used any paint, but it also doesn't seem like any paint has gone on the bloody model. What's going on? And I even flooded one side to try and get it how I thought it should be, and it's like, for goodness sake. And I literally, out of sheer frustration, went and made a cup of coffee, and when I came back, noticed that the side I hadn't flooded was actually changing its tone. So you don't need to leave it. You can get 10 15 seconds after you sprayed it, start doing another coat, etc. You can certainly start masking up within 5 minutes. I would leave it a little longer potentially, but you could if you wanted to, as long as you've got low tack masking tape, you'd be fine. But for that tone, for that certain tone you're trying to get, if you're trying to get something that's underneath it to come through, leave it be for a bit, because what you'll end up doing is you'll lose all of that stuff underneath, because you'll think you've got to put another coat on, and then you'll be cross.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Genuine question for once. Has anybody tried those cheap compressor airbrushes that seem to be doing the rounds on YouTube reviews? Well, I did one review of it was not a cheap one, but it's basically the same. The Revell compressor and airbrush set. Any compressor, these things here, if you take your time and mix the paint right, if you're not using Outlaw, you can get a good enough finish. Like I said, I used this in a demonstration at my local model club on how good the Outlaw paints are, and I got a good finish on that Bearcat, and I did one as a matte, and I flooded the other side, and it came out quite satiny, almost glossy finish with using the glossy sea blue, which is you're supposed to get anyway. But yeah, seriously, lads, if you want to try airbrushing, and you're willing to spend, say, 30 quid on buying 3 or 4 bottles of Outlaw paint, and you can pick these up for around 20, 25 quid. A bottle of IPA as well is going to cost you about £8 to clean it out with, or £8 if you go to Man's Bottle Shop and get his airbrush cleaner. You can have a crack. You're not spending out the £200 for the compressor and the 100 quid for the airbrush. One of these will suffice. You can pick them up from Amazon, 20, 25 quid. This one came from Aldi for £19. And you can, if you want to get into airbrushing, I'll tell you what I'll do over Christmas. I'll do a live stream where I spray Outlaw paint using this. You come and join me in the chat if you want, and I'll show you. Get yourself one of these for Christmas and some Outlaw paint from one of the suppliers. Have a crack at it. That's all I can say. It's and also it is airbrush only at the moment, but I have used it with a hairy stick.
Ooh.
So underneath there, you can see that there. These here, the legs. Is that no? Come on, camera. The legs. I hand brushed there using Outlaw paint. I forgot to spray them up.
Just picking up on a question that was in the chat there a minute ago. Yeah. One of the people have asked the question as to another question: how does it react with other paints, i.e., water or oil based? No issues whatsoever. It won't react with anything.
Yeah.
So one of the things in which I did as part of my first trials was I built some kits. One I primed in Outlaw primer, one I primed in a water-based acrylic, and one I did no primer whatsoever. No issues whatsoever. I then attacked it with oils. No issues on top. I've even used other paint products on top of it. No issues. So it's a very versatile product that will go with pretty much anything you've already got on the rack. And don't get me wrong, it would be absolutely lovely for both me and Alex if you came and bought the whole range in one big go. But you don't need to do that. Try a bottle, see how you get on with it, and then if you love it as much as I think you will, you'll change your colours as they run out. Or you might find a rich uncle. I don't know, whichever.
Tiger Moth was a test of Outlaw, 2 fine coats and done.
Yeah.
Do they do a chrome? They do a chrome, don't they?
Yeah. So Alex has got the majority of the military range. I have got the majority of the whole range. So I got the train, the cars, the military, everything.
As displayed here.
Indeed. Unfortunately, with the delivery we had some boxes go astray. So we've been busy trying to figure out where they went and what happened to them. And we do have a delivery in the new year, but I'm still waiting on a date for that. So certainly with Alex, Alex has got a few bottles missing from what he ordered, and hopefully they will be here quicker than the order is what I'm hoping for. But so yes, they do quite a good range of different types of chromes and metal colors and finishes and that sort of stuff. They do pearl colors, candy colors, train colors, as I said. They have a rust set if you're into doing your rust effects with airbrush colors. They've got a very good set for that, and some peculiar colors if you are from the UK, because you won't understand some of them, because they do follow, because they're an Australian company, they follow some Australian things, some vehicles and train, but they are increasing the range, and adding stuff. And same with the British range. I can't confirm or deny whether another 10 different colors will be coming in the new year or not as yet. But the British range will expand a little bit more. The American, German, and Australian range is a little bit bigger than the British range. But the last thing I will say, and then I'll shut up. With all of the paints, although they might have a specific country on the label, that's not to say you can't transpose those into other countries, because some of them can do that quite easily.
Yeah, and although James is saying, got this bit and that bit, I think he's almost doing the range down. It sounds like there aren't as many Outlaw paints as there are. Just to give you an idea, there are about 180 shades just in the military range. They do a massively extensive range. The reason I don't stock more than I have currently, I will be expanding stock at the moment, is because I just couldn't afford to get all of the stock, because there are so many paints. So whatever area of modeling you're in, whether it's railway, whether it's cars, whether it's military or civilian, there'll be the paint for you pretty much already in the range.
We have
they're expanding it all the time.
We have here, or I have here, just over 400 different types of color paint. So the range is quite vast, and it is, like I say, it is expanding. I mean, they've just added, 16 more colors, I think, in the car range, as of today. But they are, for example, I know one of the new ones is a Holden color. Now, Holden is actually a Vauxhall color in the UK. Not to say we had that color here, but some of them we will have, definitely. But yeah, if there's a particular color you're looking for, drop me an email or a message, or take a moment and go and have a look on the website, and just trundle through all of the different sections. There's a lot there to look at, I know, but you certainly will find what you need in what's on the website already.
Just quickly, Darren Cook, could you contact me, email me, because I'm not using the gallery compressor, but I'm using their Ace airbrush. And in fact, I used the Ace airbrush to do this. I'd like to compare notes with you, because it'll be good. I'm going to be honest. I've used the gallery airbrush. It's okay, but there's something. Whereas I seem to want to go back to my Infinity. I'm just saying, have a chat with me sometime about it. I mean, the email's in the about section on here. We'll compare notes, because and this floated needle thing. Just give me a ring about it, and we can compare notes. Somebody's saying that they've used a lot. There's all sorts going on. Lemon Crazy. Too many paints back in the day. Only Humber, Modern Master, and Pactra for years. Life was simple. But the model, but there was a question about mixing. I've not mixed the paints to make colors. I'll be interested to know how people get on mixing the paints. So if you have mixed the paints, let me know. That'll be an interesting discussion to have. Have you mixed the paints yet at all to make different colors, Alex or James?
No,
I haven't really needed to for what projects I've been doing. You can certainly mix them and manipulate them, but realistically, the choices in the range are sufficient enough not to need to do that. The only time in which you might want to do that, I guess, is if you want to go, for example, over a brown. on an aircraft and try and adjust the colour so there's a bit of fading and stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't yet. No.
No, I haven't. I mean, one of the things with mixing paints in general, this isn't specific to Outlaw, but a lot of manufacturers. So if you mix two paints, right, sometimes you get results you don't expect. Quite often it will be like muddier or grayer than you expect, and that's because a lot of manufacturers use titanium dioxide as a kind of it's a very dense pigment. It's a white, basically. Titanium dioxide is a white pigment, and it balances some other things. So they're not using pure pigments, which means that when you mix them, you can get unpredicted results. Being that these are lacquer paints, and I know vanishingly small amounts about lacquer paint technology, I didn't want to do that because I don't want to get something that is unexpected because I don't know the formulation of them. So yeah, I've steered away from that, and as James said, I've not needed to.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that when you start mixing paints, you're then into the boundaries of all sorts of things could happen, and that element of, as Alex said, unpredictability then would probably drive you nuts and drive you away from a brand. No matter what brand it is. You know, previous to lacquers, I use model colors. Now, model colors are, if you have the full range, there's a vast quantity of different shades, and I have mixed those. And generally speaking, I get a pretty good result with them because I just keep tinkering until I get what I want. The downside to that is you end up with a great big lump of amount of paint where you only want to do a tiny little area, and it's waste. Yeah. Unless you've got empty bottles to pour it into, etc. And that's part of the thing, part of the joy I like about these particular paints is there is no waste. You spray what you need, and oh, geez, I put too much in my cup. I just pour it straight back in my bottle because I know there's nothing in that cup of my airbrush because it's so clean that will make that impure. So I can pour it back in there and do the lid back up, and I know I've not wasted anything, or as minimum as possible anyway. And for me, that again is a game changer because you know, I can't imagine how much paint I've wasted over the years, really.
Yeah, I feel the same.
I was just going to say that one of the things that I've found is that when it comes to me personally, I've tried to mix Tamiya lacquer and not been that successful with it. One thing I've always found is I've always mixed too much that I'll never use again. Also, when it comes to acrylics, just plain simple acrylics, they're more forgiving when you want to mix paints, if you know what I mean. They're more forgiving that way, which is absolutely fine. But I do understand that modeling is an expensive hobby as it is, right? Hence why I tend to do a lot of military stuff with camo, etc. Because I used to use the same 10 paints to do it all, you know, RNF, etc. And mixing paint is one way of keeping the cost down because you know if you pick that green and you pick that blue and you mix it, you're going to get a similar color to what you need. You have to buy that other color in a different manufacturer as well. So I see both sides of the argument about that. But yeah, it's difficult. You know, when mixing paint has become synonymous, especially when you do a Revell kit and they're giving you aqua colors. Or if you're doing a Humbrol kit and they'll tell you to mix 60% Humbrol, 30, and so we are ingrained in ourselves to do it. But I but when it comes to lacquers, I've not. Don't get me wrong. I've mixed LP from Tamiya. I've still got a couple of bottles of stuff that I've never really used again, especially with the pink. I'm gonna get a decent pink from Tamiya. You know the better ones in an air can, isn't it? Basically. But yeah, you know, I think we come ingrained to it, but with the range being so vast with Outlaw, I don't think you would need to mix. And also, if there is a color you specifically want and are willing to wait 6 weeks for, they will mix a paint for you in Australia and send it out to you at cost. And if you're willing to wait that long, and then normally what I found and what I've heard is that when they find a color that somebody needs, they then added it to the range.
Yeah.
So that's another way of increasing the range, which is a good thing. Anyway, what's you, Alex? You were going to say something.
No, I was going to say, in terms of mixing paints, it's just like, unless you're using pure pigment paints, it's really difficult to predict what you're getting. If you're used to a range, like Revell obviously know their range, they know what they put in them. So when they say 80% of this and 20% of this, they know what result they're going to get, so they can recommend that. And it's the same if you've used a paint range for a long time, you can also do that. You know, I used to mix Tamiya paints quite a bit because Tamiya doesn't have the range, right? There's like, I mean, recently it's expanded to about 90, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, there just aren't the paints, and some of them are a little bit off, so you need to like tone them down or whatever. And then I do pre-shading or post-shading or whatever, so you do need to do a bit of mixing. But James is absolutely right. I've wasted so much paint doing that, because when you're adding to paint, so typically, especially if I'm doing an AFB, I'll put down a base coat, which is darker than I need. I'll lighten it and go over, and I'll do that several times to create depth and interest in the model, especially if it's just a green tank, right? But that means you're spraying, yes, but you're not spraying as much as you keep adding to the pot. So I usually end up with more paint in my airbrush than I started with when I started all the modulation work. And like James said, what do you do with it? I mean, you know, you can't put it back in the original thing because it's a hell of a lot lighter. So unless you're keeping it, I mean, typically, if I don't have anything else to use it on, I will throw it away. So mixing is, I certainly think there's a good place for mixing, and I certainly won't stop doing that with acrylics, but I won't be doing it with Outlaw for the foreseeable future, at least. It'll be interesting to see about color modulation, because I'm doing the Gannett and I'm using Outlaw on that. Which is why I know about the, you know, how acrylics and oil washes and stuff work with it, because I've done all of that in the cockpit and it works absolutely fine. So I'm interested to see what effects I can create without having any of the, you know, the normal kind of shading stuff that I would do. Just putting the base coat down and then using oils, etc. So it's a different way of approaching the same thing, right? Which I think is good to learn new skills in that way. But
yeah, I think with the modulation, one thing in which you could potentially do for those that don't already is doing your pre-shading, etc. Remember, if you're using a light grey as your main coat, and then a black or a darker primer for lines or whatever, you can create that modulation slightly by putting a very thin coat of a darker colour primer, and then your thin coats will build over. And like I said, you won't actually be putting any more or less paint on a particular spot, but because of what's underneath, it will give you that interest if that's something that you want. Certainly, with the colours, I'm sort of looking around to see if I can. I know, for example, in the American range, they're blue grey. Blue grey is a very well covered situation. There is 3 sets of blue grey, and they're all different shades, and then you've got other blue greys as well. And you tend to find that quite a lot with a lot of the paint. There are I know for the railway range, we've got a yellow that's got 3 different shades. So they are trying to accommodate that as well within the paint range for you, to again, just to make the experience you're having the best and be the easiest. But you can adjust it. You then can create modulation, etc., on top of Outlaw paints with other products and weathering effects, etc. So don't be scared by that. And I just wanted to go back to a comment that was in. I have answered it in the chat, but it was from Paul Price. No, not Paul Price. I lie. Taggers. He was saying, is this the sort of will people be buying Outlaw paints if they're on a budget? Well, it's mid-range price wise. It's no more or less expensive than the Alaka. We've purposely made sure of that. And depending on what you buy, some products you will use more of, and have to replace that quicker than Outlaw, and others are similar. So yes, I think the answer is people on a budget will be buying. In fact, I know some of my customers definitely are on a budget and have bought some. So yeah, it's not a paint that's exclusively for rich people. It's aimed at everybody and trying to be as inclusive as possible. It starts at $5.95 a bottle. The only difference is the either the size of the bottle, which there are a couple in the range that are very large, 100 mils, which are the Japanese colours aimed at the shipbuilders out there. But most of the bottles are 30 mil, and they're either $5.95 or $6.95. So, you know, they're not they're in the same sort of bracket as pretty much everyone else.
Just want to apologise.
Then I had with a P there, didn't you?
Sorry, say again.
So you did say ship with a P, right? James?
Yeah, ship with a P. Yes.
Just checking.
It might come out like a T because I've got a tooth missing, but you know, what can you do?
Just quickly, I just want to say apologies. I added Jason into the chat, and he was in his underwear. There he is, in his boxer shorts.
Yep. Welcome to Australia, boys.
I like it.
Just quickly, this is a bottle of olive drab. Okay, so you can see how much pigment is in there. All right, you know, but there's 2 olive drabs in their America range because there's 2 sorts, isn't there? Is that right, Jason? You've got 2 olive drabs. You've got FS 34087. I think you have FS 14087. I think it is, isn't it? There was 2, so you've actually covered the 2 olive drabs, and I'm presuming it's early World War II and later World War II. Is that how you've done it for the Americans?
I'm trying to remember back to when we did all that. Not that long ago, but it was.
It's green olives and black olives, Moss.
Yeah.
Sounds great to me. Bit of Australian humour. 10 to 7 in the morning here.
So then, if it was not known, Jason is the owner and chief of Outlaw Paints. So I invited him to come on to talk about Outlaw Paints. Got a few questions, mate. Outlaw Paints usable with a hairy stick. And I said I have used it with a hairy stick, but you have got a brushable Outlaw Paint in development, haven't you?
Yes. So next year, we've got. I'm just trying to remember numbers on it. But about 100% of the military colours will be brushable. So you'll be able to get your everything we got now in brushable form in the military range, and the fair bit of the rail, and just your colours you'd find very common for your auto side of things.
Okay.
So that's what we're working on. It's getting it perfected. That's because they self-level. Like very well. But it's mixing the pigments because paint isn't paint. Your brushable paint versus your airbrushable paint isn't the same. Your ratios aren't the same for every bottle, for every colour. It's I'm trying to think what we're working on at the moment. Not your favourite yellow. There's one of the brushables we're working on at the moment. It's just won't play the game. So
yeah, I get that.
I love your jumper, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. Welcome to Christmas. They are available. There's a link in the section below where you can get your own Airfix jumper. Tagish just wrote, thanks, officer. Not an airbrusher, so not paints I would buy for myself. So I was wondering, so with that price, it's just over double a budget Humble acrylic, which is 14 milliliters, versus Outlaw Paint versus 30. What's Humble Paint now? Humble Paint jumped in price when they went to dropper bottles, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
I remember buying the tins, you know, the acrylic, not the enamel, but the acrylic, for about £1.29, £1.39, and I think now they're closer to £2, aren't they? £2.49.
Yeah,
they are over £2, aren't they?
I think at the end of the day, I mean, I'm going to make people shudder when I say this, but you can, £2.65 a bottle on average, So they are going up in price. And I think they are due to go up a little bit more than that, so beware. But I might be wrong, just in case Dale's watching. Sorry.
He's on holiday. He's not watching.
No, that's cool. Well, you never know. He might be sat on the beach watching you, Moss. You know, he actually loves you. But with the one thing in which, from an airbrush point of view, Humber acrylics can go through an airbrush if you fancy it. But then you're adding stuff to that as well to make it airbrushable. So by the time you've added stuff to it, actually it works out much more expensive than Outlaw paints.
Citadel paints are over £3 a bottle now, are they? Crap.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I saw some the other day at $3.50.
Bloody
they're
hell!
Here in the States,
Yeah.
I don't own a single bottle of Citadel.
So Outlaw paints are not expensive paints. If you look at Citadel works out about 22 pence a mil. Vallejo is only slightly, like Vallejo standard acrylics are only slightly less per mil. So it's the fact they come in 30 mil bottles, I think, that throws people, rather than the 17 or 12 or 14. I mean, look at Tamiya paints. They come in 10 mils. 10 mils is what you get for £2.35 or whatever it is, $2.50 ish. Those are expensive,
depending on the supplier.
But you're also getting that paint density that we were talking about throughout the stream. So even though it's pre-mixed, the amount of pigment you're getting, if you let all that settle out, that's at least 10 mils a bottle of basically pure pigment that you would get in a Mr. Color bottle or a Tamiya bottle. So even if it's $6 or £6 a bottle, you're getting 30 mils of a high density paint that you can just throw in your airbrush.
You look at a Tamiya bottle that's settled, and they do settle. You know, it is 20-25% pigment at most, and you're paying.
This is LP. Tamiya LP is £2.25.
Yeah.
10 mil. For 10 mil, £2. How could Humble be more than Tamiya lacquer paint?
There's some pigment for you.
Yeah.
And again, this is what I was saying earlier, is that I could say this because Jason knows about it anyway, but one of my biggest fears was just how long a bottle would last, because I am conscious of people's pockets and how that's going to fit within their hobby. Jason makes it because he loves pleasing people, and it's not just a business for him. So the quality of what comes out of the factory is what he would want and expect as a modeler himself. So, and I'm not suggesting for a second that there are other companies out there that don't have that, but I wouldn't say it's unique, but it's not far off. And remember, Outlaw Paints, though, Jason wouldn't be sat in a quiet little room. He'd be in a suite if he was got the market that Tamiya have got. But they've been around a lot longer. And like Moss just said, for the same quantity of paint, you're actually spending more money than Outlaw Paints. So, it's very well marketed in its price bracket. It just fits just well. Obviously, you pay a little bit more for those more expensive products like the chromes and that sort of thing, because that's unfortunately the way it is. The pigments are a lot more expensive, but we don't skimp on those pigments just because they're expensive. We just make sure that they're just as good, but there's a little bit more price to it. That's all. So I think for a budget modeler, they're well suited. They're well placed in the market. And certainly in the UK, I would think there's going to be a little bit of an explosion over the next 12 months or so. Well, I hope so anyway, and so would Alex, I guess, as well as Jason. But not because we're going to spend peanuts amounts of money on advertising and pushing it down people's throat, just purely because people are going to use it. Like James was saying a minute ago, he's got some railway paints there, and I cut him off as he was talking about it, so I apologise for that, James.
That's right.
You come back on in a minute, James. I'll come over to you.
But I know from James and other people that have got the paint just how pleasing it is for them to use it. And from a business point of view, for me, my whole business is set around inspiring somebody, getting them to try something a little bit different, and actually changing the way they do their model making because of that. That's my scope. That's what I try and do with everything I do. And that's why Outlaw Paints fits so well with my business, is because it is a game-changing product.
Yeah. And James and I have talked about this as well. You know, it's the same for me with the shop and the channel, to be honest. It's just like, I don't do, hopefully people know me well enough that if I think something's crap, I'll say it's crap. And I won't have stuff in my shop that I wouldn't use myself.
Yeah.
Unless somebody specifically asks for it. You know, if somebody asks for it and orders it, then fine. Because it's serving the customer, right? But as a modeler, I want to have models in the shop that represent what I do, so I don't have old Revell toolings and, you know, shit like that catch the unwary. You know, and I want paint that represents that as well. And I think the paint stands for itself. It speaks for itself. You know, I've got a sign with the Outlaw paint in the shop saying, ask for a demonstration. You know, quite happy to show people there in the shop, this is what the paint does. This isn't me selling it, this is showing you. And I think that's the kind of common values that have been expressed across all of us, really.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I made sure I did at Telford was because obviously one of the competitions from that neck of the woods was at the show. And I didn't want it to become a competition between us. I didn't want there to be any misfeeling between us. However, one of the people that I sent the stuff out to review had done it's here actually, funny enough, had done a Messerschmitt. And this Messerschmitt was done half in Outlaw and half in Alcalad. Now, Alcalad, as far as I was concerned, was the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
And I had an awful lot of comments from people going, well, how does it match up against this product or that product? And I go, well, I'm not going to tell you. But that product, that plane there has got two different products on it. You tell me which one's best. And they pick it up because they're all there for people to pick up. I'm not precious about them. And I go, oh, well, this side, definitely. So turn it over and tell me what the name of the company is. Outlaw Paints. Well, I'll be buggered. Yeah. And that is exactly how I sell it. I'm not willing to do anything other than that. You make the decision. You are the modeler. You are the one that's going to be painting with it and using it and being happy or unhappy on the products in which you choose. You can pick up a model and look at it, touch the finish. You know, the finish, like I said, it's a satin finish. The finish on the Outlaw is so much sweeter than Alcalad. And Alcalad, like I said earlier, was what I thought was the best product out there. So, and I didn't know that was coming. I didn't see that. I didn't get it until that weekend. And the amount of people that picked up and went, and they were really surprised. And most of the people that did that bought a bowl to go home and try it. Yeah. So,
do you know what? For the sake of £6, which is basically a cup of coffee from Costa, grab yourself a bottle of Outlaw and play with it. Just go and play with it. Play with it against other paints as well. So, say you've got the two colours that you need for doing a Spitfire, say. Use them, but then use that third colour that you need. So say you've got the brown and you've got the duck egg or the duck blue, whatever it is, the sky, and then you pick up a green from Outlaw, and then just use them and just see how well you react, or the airbrush reacts to it. But I just want to go over, because now I've got Jason on. One of the things I've had right from the very beginning when I first started talking about Outlaw on my channel, I've got quite a few who are model railway enthusiasts, and they were so chuffed to hear that there's going to be a different paint in the market to deal with railway than the Humber Railway section that they've got. And James has got a couple of rolling stocks there, haven't you, that you've sprayed up?
Well, I've got one. I couldn't carry. I could only carry one back. Now, shameless plug. It's an Airfix kit. Well, it's an Airfix. It's a GMR B set. Now, obviously, anyone knows them. The Airfix put a window in on this side, and I had to try and match up with the paint. I gave up in the end. Didn't have the patience to do it. So obviously I was waiting for paint. I got the Outlaw GWR cream. Yeah. It's sprayed on beautifully. It was obviously because obviously this coach is they've got all the mouldings for all the handrails and the hinges. You can get the masking on, and you don't get overspray with it. It's fantastic.
You masked that up first, then, did you?
I had to mask up the brown.
Yeah,
because I didn't have the brown. So obviously, again, I only altered the window, but to do that I was very worried when it went on. I thought, crikes, it's too yellow. And then I took the 4-foot rule and sat back and said, no, that's right. Colour's right on it. So
yeah,
it's really nice paint. And I've
sprayed more of it, will you?
Yeah, I've got the REF black as well. I thought, why have they got an REF black for? And you spray that on a. I was mucking around. I was testing it on the F35. I did. I was testing it on the stand. And as the black goes, it covers straight away. Yeah. Because you get inconsistencies with obviously Tamiya. In their bottles, you get inconsistency in the amount of pigment you get. Each bottle is different. Yeah. So each bottle will spray differently. And you will get a very, very inconsistent. So you're messing around. You're losing, not only using paint, you're using thinner. With this Outlaw, it's straight out of the bottle. It is brilliant stuff. And there's no reaction to it. It's absolutely brilliant. Can't say any more about it.
Fair enough, my friend. Fair enough. So there you go. The railway's going to be a popular thing over in this part of the country anyway, because the lack of paint that they've got. So Gary Hidler's just said, must admit, to switch into mainly Outlaw paints for my builds, slowly expanding it on the paint rack. Has speeded up my building time, and I think you'll find that as well. As I said, but if you feel you need to give it 20 minutes, give it 20 minutes, then come back to it. It is a game changer when it comes to speed. So they're not on your website at the moment, no, Alex, the Outlaw paints?
No, I'm having a bit of a mare with the website at the moment, and GTIN numbers and harmonization codes. It's a pain in the ass. But no, the best thing is send me an email because it changes as well with the with people coming in and buying stuff, obviously, at the shop. So best thing is send me an email if you're looking at a particular paint for Outlaw.
If you want to look at the paint range, obviously you've got the Outlaw website, but you also got mine as well. You can look at, but support your local shops. One of the things in which we're hoping to do next year, which I'm going to have to go in a minute, but I want to make sure I get this said. We're in contact with a bundle of shops around the UK, and what we're hoping to achieve is a group of shops that are spread around the UK. The idea being that if someone walks into a shop in Leeds and says, "Oh, Outlaw points, lovely, I'll grab a bottle of that," and the person that's there talks to them and finds out they live near Alex's shop, then what they'll do is, if you want to buy it, you can do, not a problem. I'm not going to stop because I love the sale, but go and see Alex because Alex got the range. and you can get your paint locally. Don't come back to me because obviously you'll be postage. You don't need to go and see Alex in the shop, and he'll buy it. He'll be able to sell it to you in the shop. The main reason for that is because I want to create. The Sprue Box wants to create a family of not just retailers but also suppliers. So Jason's obviously part of our family, or I'm part of his, bless him. And we're a little bit like, the estranged family. We keep round with each other all the time, and throw things at each other. Look at him. He looks like he's asleep, bless him.
I'm just thinking of the cricket where you just can't hit a ball. I don't know.
So we've already created that with our suppliers. And one of the things that come out of Telford was a few new suppliers that will be coming on the stream next year. And they are all basically small businesses. And it's not, I want to make sure everyone realizes this is not me going, oh, it's a small business, I can buy stuff real cheap and sell it really expensive. Not at all. The whole idea is to support the smaller person. Outlaw, I could go to Hobbycraft or other big companies and say, stock this range, it's amazing, and sell it and whatever. Would I get the sale or not? I don't know, if I'm honest, but I could do that, and I could do thousands and thousands of bottles every month, and it'd be great. I'd be very happy. But I don't want that. What I want is that people like Alex that have got the small little shop having their footfall increase because they're stocking a product that the big people don't have. That is the goal. That is the goal for 24. That's what we're trying to pull together now. And the same with our suppliers. We've got three new suppliers coming on stream January and February, and they're all small businesses. And that's what we hope to achieve by the end of 24, is have a bundle of people together that was part of the hobbying community and a hobby retail community, of which we promote each other equally all the time. And as long as everybody that's involved in that behaves and agrees with that ethos, everyone will benefit, and then everybody can be much happier with their flow of stock, etc. Because let's face it, Alex has invested quite a lot of money in his shop. He doesn't want to sit on it like a stash for the next 6 months or longer. He wants that to move, and the reason being is he can bring in newer products and more things, so you can go and buy more and more stuff. And that's the ethos that we're going to try and drive. And we're very fortunate that we've got such a great product like Outlaw to be one of those front runners in achieving that. So, but anyway, enough of my waffle. Basically, it was lovely to see you with a shirt on, which I don't normally see. So that's quite cool.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah. Normally he's wearing. Oh, don't.
I'm going to have to shoot off because I've got to go and get my missus.
Yeah, put the music on. Set the mood.
Thanks, James, for popping on, mate, and I'll see you on a live stream sometime soon.
Yeah, we'll speak soon, no doubt, but I'll try and get back as quickly as I can.
All right, mate.
Right.
See you in a bit.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, James.
Bye.
Bye.
So I'd just like to comment on John gets stuffed. Queensland's ahead of the game, mate. That's for that one. And on what James was saying there, about the little shops and all that. So we've got all our retailers here in Australia, and they're building up very rapidly. But my personal view with people and everything in general is you look after your mate. You look after everybody, and you concentrate all your effort on those people. And that's not whether you're a model shop. That's just on as a human to you, your brother or your sister or whatever. Just look after your fellow man. As Australia being a vast place, like we've got, like South Australia now, that's what 5,000, 4,000 odd K plus away from me. I've got people that message me online or email me and say, "Oh, can you send us this?" Now we've just got a new retailer there. I send them to them.
Yeah.
Like we can then, we could make our profit on per bottle on a big order, and they have to pay $20-25 postage to get it all the way down there. Or I'd go, shit, if that was me, well, I'll send him over here. It's cost him nothing in postage. It's sent to the guy who's invested his money, like Alex, in bricks and mortar, he can then, people like Alex can then pass their knowledge of product, not forget Outlaw Paints, but their modeling knowledge and everything else on it to that customer. They can inspire people like kids to get into the hobby because of their passion for it. And if they get to make whatever per bottle of Outlaw Paints, and that goes towards building up that store, what is that price worth? You can't put a dollar value on it. It keeps our hobby alive. There we go.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. How people are asking about Europe. You have got contacts in Europe now to get a distributor over there, haven't you?
We do. So speaking to Model Bow over there, there's a bit going on between in the company, but have assured me that in March, April, everything will be finalised and they'll be putting their first order in of Outlaw, and it's huge. You'll probably never see me again. I'll be stuck in making paint. But yeah, so it'll be covering Germany, Belgium, France, the Netherlands, and there's a couple of other European countries over there that'll be going into, all in one go. So yeah, pretty excited about that.
Yeah,
it's very daunting. Yeah, see, Outlaw Paints is 100% handmade. There's no machines. The only machine would be the labeling machine, but that's still done. You've got to pick up the bottle. We don't have one that just goes along. You pick it up, you put it on the machine, press the button, wraps the label, next. So this is our new Aussie muscle car colours up there. You would have seen that on my Aussie Scale Modeler channel. That's Panorama Silver. So the only things that aren't Australian made are the cap and the actual bottle, because it's so expensive if you have to buy it here in Australia, like everything. But these are some of the colours. But everything, the pigments are Australian made for us, but we mix them. They're scaled so they go for us. The label itself is Australian made. The design is ours. The thinners are Australian. We're proud of that. We basically, our governments have all sold Australia off to the rest of the world. But so every bottle has had my hands on it, Braden's hands on it, or my wife's on. And none leave. A couple might miss go through the thing, but say you've got a bottle of, we do a batch of 50. Every 10th one's sprayed out onto the spoon to make sure it's perfect, to make sure it's right. It gets filtered through 290 microns 4 times. Yeah, occasionally there might be, if there's a leak, it's because somebody squished the bottle on me, possibly me, good chance. But that's the thing with it all. It's all this is in it as a modeler. It'd be like Christmas morning waking up and finding your present broke. You don't want it. It's like, I'm working on this. Yes, I know it's funny. People haven't got to see me model for a while, but working on that at the moment. And like, I do go into detail with seam lines and all that. That's my modeling of 50 years. When I put that even the primer on it, I want it perfect. I don't want to go, oh, geez, I've got to, I just can't. So
when's your pink primer coming out then, mate?
My pink primer?
Yeah.
Well, I thought you would have caught on last night when I give you a bell. But this is the Stripe Me Pink. This is what we're developing with your pink primer.
Yeah. Wow.
Sweet. Pepto Bismol, man.
I was going to say, it looks like you've got Pepto Bismol in there.
Yeah.
So that's
Custard?
the yellow over it?
No, these are the new Aussie muscle cars.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
But the finish rate, and there's no 2K on that, is there?
No.
That's like a pearlescent, that, isn't it?
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
That's right.
This one I dropped on the carpet 3 seconds after I sprayed it.
Oh, man.
If you watch the video, it's funny. It's pretty darn funny.
Yeah.
That's nice too.
Some nice colours, that.
So there's 14 more that have been just released.
And they're on your website now, are they?
The pictures go up tonight.
Mm.
But yeah, they're pretty cool. They're all sitting here.
And you said the pink primer.
It makes me want to do a Corvette Stingray.
It does, doesn't it? I was just thinking that as well. It makes you want to, you know.
You know what it inspires me to do? Because I watched a channel that was just so inspiring, and then if you want to feel like a man, build a pond bug.
Yeah.
And watch moss.
Hey, steady on. Not an OnlyFans here, mate.
Hey, well, what was the address you sent me this morning? That was a bit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that wasn't for you. That was for somebody else.
Mm.
So,
can I ask Jason?
At the moment, you've got your 3 primers. You've got your grey, you got your white, you got your black. You want about bringing out a pink. And did you say there was another colour you were doing for primer?
No, we were doing the white and the pink, but we've got all the electroplated. Not electroplated. What's that word I'm after? It's an undercoat on the wings of most aircraft. Yellow, greens. What's that? Come on, guys, help me out.
Chromate.
Yeah, chromate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are considering doing a chromate primer.
Oh.
Okay.
That'd be good for
Strontium chromate, I think it's called.
good for planes, right?
On the UK planes.
And a lot of planes have a zinc chromate.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, John. Yeah.
Cool.
But not the problem, but the issue we have is it's myself and Braden. And as I said, it's all handmade, but it's going through the process, the list of what is required. So the brushables, the British rail, more British rail, and like that for you guys over there. We can do American rail. We haven't been asked for it yet. We have in Australia, and then those brushables are very high on priority because we know that people want them. And imagine right down to your finest detail, you can have all Outlaw, the best pigment, the best quality, and that's what we want. We've got on the burner 203 more military colours to go. So you've already seen the range.
Is that the UK ones? Is it?
Not just the UK, mate. The rest.
A lot of people are asking if you do doing any of the Royal Naval colours as well, for like their
I have, being ex Royal Australian Navy, we've got the Royal Australian Navy, your mob, the British Navy. We got more RAF. We got more British infantry. Like there's There's a few SAS colours in there as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's German colours. There's a few more Kiwi colours. There's some Russian, and there's some Ukrainian. Yeah, 203 colours.
I think you should stick to more of the British at the moment, mate. You got too many Australian ones because they're all like, you know, they're like the undercurrent. We need more of the British stuff, please.
Oh, you're talking? No, sorry, mate. All I was hearing was bullshit, and I'm thinking, oh, jeez.
Just quickly, Crazy Locker, thank you for gifting 5 model memberships. I really appreciate that. Thank you, my friend. And also, I've got a new member tonight. Thank you, Stephen Nicholson. If you email me your name, address, I will send you out a welcome pack, which includes stickers and some zines that I've created. So I'll send you them out for you as well this week. What's the future of Outlaw Paint then, Jason? Are you going to manufacture it in this country as well in the future, or is it still going to be based in Australia?
It's going to blow up very big. We know that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just noticed one of the Nick Johnson put up there. If it's all handmade, is supply going to be an issue when it takes off? No, because got investment and loaded up, so that it's still going to be handmade at the front end, like all mixed and all that. Then it'll go into a bottling machine, and it's still going to be filtered 4 times and all that. So then it'll just go in the bottle, and then it'll go down the bottle cap. So it's $60,000 to put a cap on a bottle. The machine is that little cap. All its purpose is to do that. So that's 60,000, and then it goes down and gets a label on it. And because of the volume, it'll be the labeler does 2,000 an hour, so it won't be an issue. You have 2, 3 people making up batches. We will never put it through, like, say, put that pigment, now mix it, press a button, it's done. No.
Right.
On the machine itself that we've looked at, you can stop and pull off a batch to spray it. So one of the comments I've been getting is, and I know for a fact, you spray that down, you get to the bottom of the bottle, everything's gone.
Yeah.
So that's what we love. Yeah, mate.
Your brush paints that you're bringing out, will they be lacquer-based brush paints then? Yes.
Yep.
Will the drying time be similar to the airbrush paints? I'm gathering it won't be. I'm gathering it'll be a lot longer for it to dry. You're putting on a lot more thicker with the brush, aren't you?
Yeah. I think we're giving it about, like, say, with your airbrush, you spray, and within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're pretty much ready to go.
Yeah.
But you're always going to give yourself that time, that safety margin. You know, what time of the day is it? What's the weather like? You're going to give yourself that space to breathe. With the brushables, you're getting 5 minutes at least. So you've got that, but it's solid in 10 minutes. It's the same thing.
Fair enough.
But it just goes. Oh, I'll do a demo in the new year and show you. We've got the ones we've developed, and I'll get find a kit, and I'll just brush it and show you what happens when you dip it into the bottle and go, and it just goes smooth as a baby's bum with the brush.
I'm assuming you'll be putting them in pots rather than bottles then, will you, for this stuff?
So we're doing 20 ml bottles, but with wide neck bottles. So we're going to try and keep the same theme. They're going to be glass, so you can see what you got in it. And the labels are going to be redesigned not to a bigger label, a smaller label, not a full wraparound, so that at any point you can A, see your color.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
B, you can see how much you got left. C,
Okay.
so when you dip your paintbrush in there, you can turn it around and see what your brush is doing.
Yeah. I'll say the reason, these ones from Tamiya,
yep,
this sort of size, I've never knocked one of these over, whereas I've knocked one of these over.
I know.
when I'm not paying attention.
Well, there you
go.
go.
You live, didn't you?
Yeah. See all that? So that's all.
Yeah.
That's all Mr. Hobby. Every one of those is Mr. Hobby. Everyone up over there, I've got every color in the Tamiya range as well. So as I said, 50 odd years I've been doing this,
Yeah.
And I've got a box of Humbrol. I will never knock the stuff that I grew up using. I've used it Tamiya because that was what we had. We still got it. For my detail work, I will use your AKs, I will use your Tamiyas, I'll use your Mr. Hobbies. I won't knock them because I used them.
Yeah.
And I've seen the results you get with them. When it comes to our own product with Outlaw and our brushables coming up, I know that you can go with your Tamiya like that, and you can go with your AK like that, and your Alclad or whatever, and you can put your Outlaw, and you can physically watch it happen before you, everything happened before your eyes. Like when you guys have used Outlaw, you put it on and just gone, what is this witchcraft,
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the big issue for me is with the Tamiyas and your Mr. Hobbies and all that. You have to you buy that little pot, you want to airbrush it, you now have to buy their other product, and you've got to mix your ratios to get the color you want or whatever. And you're paying, I think what is it, £6 a bottle over there, but so now you're paying £4 was it? 50? You said it was?
What's that for Humbrol?
Oh, whatever it was. You now
£2.69. £2.69 for Humbrol.
Yeah, so now but then you go and buy your tinners, and then you've got to make sure that you don't overmix volume, because whatever's left you've got to throw away.
Yeah. If
you've undermixed it, you now got to work out and get it exactly right, because if you've got it wrong, you're half, 3/4 way through a fuselage or a wing or whatever you're painting. Now you've got to be dead on the money to get that color right, because again, pigment's everything. So the price of stuff, we made it so that you go, as I said, right to the front, top to bottom. There's nothing you need to do.
Yeah.
Ever. You just pour it in, spray it, and you don't have to worry. And then if you have 2 bottles of this, that bottle's going to be the same as the other bottle.
And that's what we want as modelers, because we have different air compressors, we have different airbrushes, we have different fingers, we have different distances, and so we have a thing worked out. And so if I know that if I can go just bottle to bottle to bottle, and it's going to perform the exact same under the settings that I like, it's everything to me as a modeler. Yeah.
Well, I know that, and that was one of the issues with like your Tamiya's, Mr. Hobby, not so much your Tamiya. I bought 3 lots of the same color of Tamiya. I added exactly the same amount of thinners, and I sprayed them out, and they were 3 different colors. Not like that, but you could look and go, wow, that's 3 different colors using the exact same ratios from 3 separate bottles of the same color. You can't, if you're a master model or whatever, you'd be, oh gosh, wow.
Yeah.
But if you're a young fella or getting into the hobby, you don't want a Mardi Gras Spitfire.
No, you don't. No. In the chat, if you've got any questions for Jason in regards to his Outlaw paint, again, put a question, make sure it's capitals, and then for the last 15 minutes, you can ask Jason anything you want about them, and we'll put it up on screen, and he will answer your questions for you. The only one who's been quiet is Sully. Have you tried Outlaw paint yet, Sully?
No.
Okay. Why not?
Because I haven't got any. I just haven't had a chance, to be honest with you. I've had other stuff, trying to sort stuff out, and it just, it's on the list. To be fair, I keep just order some of that yellow.
Yeah.
I don't actually need it now, but no, that's a lie. I do actually. I might have to order some.
You do on the tips of the prop, don't you?
Yeah. Thing is though, because I've got mine on mine. They've got to be quite chipped, which I'll be using what do you call it? Fucking hell. Chipping fluid.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll answer Steve's question. The chrome went in the first lot, but it must have been sold out. Probably in the next shipment. So as soon as it's there, we find the chrome gets sold out fairly quickly because it's bloody breath.
Yeah.
I don't know. Alex, do you have any chrome with you, mate? Alex, do you have any?
Sorry,
chrome?
mate.
Have you got any chrome in stock?
No, I've got all the military range. Well, I've got all the military range that arrived in the UK.
Yep. Yeah. Good on whoever it is that shipped it, but we're still trying to find that box. One whole box missing.
Yeah.
No, I need to expand the range because, like James said and like you said, what I make on the stuff in the shop, I try to reinvest in expanding what I have. So we've got quite a lot of rail and RC car guys around us. So I'd like to expand out definitely to get the British rail and the
Alex. Did I show you my Outlaw RC?
Yeah.
I built this. This is my first RC car in 40 years.
Wow.
That's all Outlaw.
Apart from the decals.
Yeah, you lost me at the decals, man.
Yeah. Does it have you got
It goes well, mate. It goes like the powers of piss. But yeah, we've got a flex agent in there. So that they bash it, and the paint just flexes, and all the slot car guys are using it. How do the chrome and polished aluminium stand up? Others rub up easily. Absolutely, we're harder wearing, and we've developed to the point where you can polish our chrome.
You can polish it, can you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be buying that. So, Jason, I meant to ask you earlier, just for confirmation, is Brett at High Altitude Hobbies? Is he going to be one of your?
Mate, it's on the boat. It's literally on a ship going to the USA.
Perfect. Because
I don't know where in the ocean it is at the moment. But so yeah, with our
is he going to be one of your guys, one of your shops?
Yes, oh, absolutely, yeah. I think it's going to be available very shortly. We're talking to a guy in New York, so yeah.
That's weird because it should hit. It should. Oh, okay. Well, if you shipped it around India and then the Africa,
mate, I don't know where they go as long as they stay above the water.
Yeah, it should have. Yeah. It would have been, I think, quicker to come over to the West Coast because High Altitude Hobbies is in Colorado, which is
mid.
All right.
Yes, Annette, the chrome does keep it shine because we've developed it so you can put a clear coat on it, which seals its shine in. So you can just spray a clear coat on it,
Right.
and or a 2K, and it stays sealed. Before you go, Moss, John was trying to ask a question for ages.
What's that, John?
John.
Sorry, John, didn't see you there.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you fine.
You can hear us, brilliant.
You're good.
Is Outlaw Paints envisaging going into any other types of products that are paint related, like maskell, tapes, stuff like that?
Okay, we've got a company here in Australia called Icky Sticky. We don't own it. Monique, she owns it, but it's like I've got my God hands and I've got all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But she's got a site, best customer service I've ever been part of in my life. I mean, but I'm trying to get her to talk to James or to get it to you guys because the tape craps all over Tamiya. I use it on everything.
What is the tape?
Oh, hang on. Don't look at my bum. I know.
Hang on.
Get out of it, you pervert.
Putting big screen now. He's got down.
Yeah, he'll have that on his. So that's what's that one? That's the 2 mil.
Yep.
I mean, goes all the way up to 40 mil.
Wow.
And then you've got and then these are just you got your 1 mils and your comes in that little dispenser as well. And then you've got hang on, let me grab it.
Here you go.
There
I
you
hope
go.
your Icky Sticky's good because I say I'm not a big fan of
I like
Tamiya
your chair.
tape anymore. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you got the sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good for masking cockpits and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
the reason why is it around? Is that Icky Sticky? Do they make their own masking tape? Do they?
Yes, mate. And then
because I'm gonna put it up there. Whether you could ask her, the best masking tape I have ever found, okay, is by a company called Nishiban.
Yeah.
Nishiban. This stuff here, I get it shipped from Japan.
Yep.
I actually get it directly shipped from Japan. I'd love to supply it in this country, right? But they won't deal with me because they've already got a distributor in this country, and the guy's an asshole, right? But this was the best. If Icky Sticky is as good as this, and I said I've tried all sorts of yellow masking tape. This here is the dog's danglies. If you can get hold of it, it's called Nishiban. It's blue. You get it on eBay. It comes from Japan. You have to spend a bit of money to get it, but this has been the best masking tape I've ever used. I've even given some to Nigel to try, so I got a spare roll. I'll buy it in rolls of 12. But if Icky Sticky's as good as this, then they'll get my product because Tamiya tape's god awful, really.
So they've got those as well.
Yeah, hang on, let's have a look.
All the tungsten drill bits.
Oh,
yeah, we get them in Aldi and Lidl.
Yeah.
Right, so they've got all them, and they're strong. They've got that to do it with. But they're CA glues as well. This shit's all over your Tamiyas and all your other ones. They've got that. They've got the quick sets.
Cement.
Yeah.
And then they've got the extra thins.
Yeah.
All the CAs, especially for your RC guys and your photo wedge is brilliant.
Do they do a clear fix as well?
What? No, it's not the details. No, not yet.
No.
But the thing with Monique is she stands by everything. The products are good. The products are half the price of your Tamiyas, but better. Like as I said, I've got the remember the 80th anniversary for God Hands when they bought all that out? For your Sprue Cutters and that?
Yeah.
That was a big anniversary set. I will use my sticky Sprue Cutters and find them. They've got the double edge and single edge versus God Hands. We have the option of adding these products to our range on our website, but I won't do it because we're about making model paint, and it's not up to me to make money off somebody else's idea. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It'd be like me selling paint to Alec, and all of a sudden selling model kits on my website.
Yeah.
That's so wrong. You just don't do that. Like, we make paint and we make the best bloody paint. So that we'll focus on that. Alex and James are the ones that go, okay, we sell models, we sell paint, we sell tools, we sell love. So that's a nice big Alex. But we make paint, mate. And I'm not going to pick somebody else's pocket for an extra $2 or whatever a week. Because if I do that, Alex is out of business, because then I can now sell my models, paints, tools. Why is Alex open?
It's right, because I hear that Alex is developing his own in-law paints.
In-law paint.
Hey, whenever I see Outlaw paint, it always reminds me of my favourite gag by Les. Is it not Les Dennis? What's he called? Here's the other comedian called Les. He used to do Blankety Blank.
Les Dennis.
Les Dennis.
Les Dawson.
Les Dawson.
Dawson.
And he goes, what's the difference between an in-law and an outlaw? An outlaw is wanted. I know, that's it. Anyway, folks, it's coming up to 10 o'clock. We're going to leave it here for now. Thank you all for joining us. If you can, visit everybody else's channel on here and go subscribe. That'll really help the channel. We'll be back next week. I'm still trying to get hold of Diorama Art, so he can come on and have a chat about his dioramas and hopefully give us some tips and tricks on how to make our dioramas look better. But again, thanks, Jason, for popping on and chatting to us about Outlaw Paints. So you're a bit late. You wake up late, did you?
Mate, you said I'll send you a link, and you did that. That's great. But we're in Queensland, so it is nearly 8 o'clock here.
Yeah,
so you did send the link at 6 a.m.
I did send it before 6.
You said 7 o'clock, brother.
No, I didn't.
You did.
I told you. I know. We'll chat after.
You guys have like 10 time zones, man.
I know. Terrible. Bye, folks. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye. Bye.
See you, boys.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.